Get out of here. Get out of here with that. LeBron James versus Dwayne Wade. Absolutely not. Yardbarker recently dropped an article listing the 25 greatest NBA rivalries of all time. There doesn't seem to be any specific criteria. They're not limiting themselves to the modern NBA history. They're going across the board. So we'll see how historically accurate this is. At number 25, Kevin McHale versus Kurt Rambis. I highly doubt that there are more Kevin McHale appearances in here. You're telling me Kurt Rambis was his biggest rival? Is this white on white beef? Is this because of the clothesline? That can't just be because of the clothesline. I think this is a disrespect to Kevin McHale, and we're talking about arguably the greatest power forward of the 80s. Surely he had much better competition that he had to deal with, even in the Eastern Conference. That I can think of. Terry Cummings comes to mind. Later, Charles Barkley started to rise in the late 80s. Even the Detroit Pistons had Dennis Rodman he had to worry about. No, I don't. Number 25, McHale and Rambis, I don't think so. Yes, in that infamous Game 4, the 1984 finals, yes, that clothesline did a lot for that rivalry. But even post-1984 finals, nobody was like in the pregame saying, hey, watch out for that McHale and Rambis matchup. Nah, I just... Number 24. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. LeBron James versus Dwayne Wade. Absolutely not. Look at that picture. Do they look like rivals to you? Yes, it's true. Rivals can become teammates. We've seen this before in the past. Dennis Rodman is a classic example of that when he teamed up with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And in the 2000s, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade had some classic matchups. Of course they did. But how many times during their 4 regular season matchups each season did they embrace each other, hug each other for prolonged periods of time, just making it known to the world how much they love each other? Is that how rivals act? And not only that, if you're going to be in this list, at least face each other in the playoffs. Like top 25 rivalries of all time. That is where rivalries form. Not in the regular season, in the playoffs. No. This placement, this is all subjective, but this should not be here. Absolutely not. Number 23, Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson. I like this one. This one is good. In the 90s, the 2 best centers of that decade, Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson, absolutely. And they both played in the Western Conference. It was a legitimate debate on who was the best center in the league. David Robinson was a better regular season performer, especially in the early 90s, when the Houston Rockets either was getting bounced in the first round or not even making the playoffs. The San Antonio Spurs were winning 50 games. You could understand why someone would say David Robinson is a better center, is a better big man. Now, obviously, in the mid-90s, Hakeem's winning MVPs, winning finals MVPs and championships. He kind of destroyed that debate. Number 21, really? Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson? That's how high this is? Number 21, really? I'm surprised it's not at least maybe top 15, but now I understand it was more Magic against Larry Bird, Magic against Isiah Thomas, but in the late 80s, once it was obvious that Michael Jordan was the best individual player in the league, I mean, he was fighting against Magic for MVPs, and then they actually faced each other in the finals, obviously, in 1991. I would think this would be just a little bit lower on the list, but now if Magic never retired because of his HIV, I mean, they could have been the biggest rivalry of the 90s, absolutely. Magic still has some good years left in them. The Lakers could have been to 1 or 2 more finals after that, and that could have solidified them as the best rivalry. Maybe the Lakers add some more pieces that kind of make them a little bit more competitive. But we'll see what other players are here. But I don't know. I think give him a little bit more respect. Number 19, Kareem and Moses Malone. They faced each other twice in the playoffs, and you could say Moses Malone was Kareem's kryptonite. 1981 first round series, they upset the Lakers, the Houston Rockets to get to the finals. Moses Malone outperforms them. Then 1983, that famous Sixers team sweeps the Lakers. Moses Malone again wins Finals MVP, outplays Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. No, and late 70s, early 80s, Kareem and Moses Malone were the two best big men in the league. After, of course, Bill Walton. So I'd say 78 and onward because he got injured. The discussion was between Moses and Kareem. Yeah, I'm surprised this isn't deeper in the rankings. LeBron and Kobe Bryant? See, I would switch just with Magic and Michael Jordan because I feel like they had the same hype during the late 80s and early 90s. Two of the greatest personalities, athletes in the world, but they actually faced each other in the finals. LeBron and Kobe never did. The rivalry is really between the fans. But between them two, just regular season matchups. The great rivalry of the NBA that never was. So, again, when they played each other, we all knew they're up for it. Kobe took this rivalry super seriously, even in the All-Star game, even in Olympic scrimmages. Dude was going after LeBron, so it could have been top 10, top 5, but just never was. So that's a little disappointing as an NBA fan looking back at it, but I can see why it's here. It's fine. It's top 20. I'd switch them too, but it's cool. It's whatever. Kareem and Bob Lanier. Really? You know, I'm very surprised that this even makes an appearance. Again, the great rivalries of the NBA at least face each other in the playoffs. Kareem never faced Bob Lanier in the playoffs. Now we're talking great rivalries of the 70s. I would say Nate Thurmond probably would be here instead of Bob Lanier. They faced each other twice in the playoffs. In 1973, the Warriors upset the Milwaukee Bucks. They were heavy favorites, but the defense of Nate Thurmond really got to Kareem. I think that should probably be here instead of Bob Lanier. Now again, Bob Lanier himself was a great defender. Several games where he held Kareem to under 30% shooting. Somebody like Kareem, super efficient, had the size advantage, at least height. So he bothered him, of course, and Kareem had to find out ways to kind of counter that and use his athleticism and conditioning to be able to get to Bob and kind of methodically slow him down. But yeah, I'm not sure if this deserves to be here. Number 15, Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley. Yes, this is a true rivalry. Real bad blood between these two players. As we remember that playoff series with Patrick Beverley going for the ball, but then swipes at his knee and Westbrook is out for the series, and that really affects OKC Thunder's playoff run that year. There's that one time Westbrook elbowed him in the nose, and it just went off from there. Real animosity, especially in today's modern NBA. Sometimes these rivalries, these beefs, seem more fabricated maybe, but they don't really last long. No, this one, they really hated each other. And this is the classic example of, just because they're not star players, or both of them are star players, obviously Beverly's not the same level of talent that Westbrook is, but when these two teams face each other, no, we were all looking to see what was going to happen between this matchup. No, this is a good one. Number 15, great placement. But then 14, this is what I'm talking about. Westbrook and James Harden and Giannis. It was a little beef. It's like a Bow Wow Soulja Boy beef, like what had happened. We were not all, some were tuning in. It was interesting, and then it just died out years later. Nobody cares. Does anyone care about this rivalry anymore? No, because it's not a true rivalry. Yes, they did kind of threw some petty shots at each other, especially during the MVP race. I get that, but top 15 rivalries of all time. One playoff appearance, and Harden was hurt for that series. No, get out of here. Other than Westbrook and Beverly and some of the LeBron ones, there shouldn't be any modern day rivalries in the top 15. Get out of here. No. Bad placement. I'm sorry. It really is. 13, Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon. That's interesting because he faced each other in the finals. Is this really a better rivalry than David Robinson and Hakeem? Because Patrick Ewing was never at Hakeem's level. God bless him. I really liked him, but top 50 player of all time. Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer, but Hakeem's here and Ewing's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. They faced each other once in the finals, went to 7 games, especially when Ewing is averaging like 32% from the field for that series. I'm not. I feel like we gave him a little too much respect to that series and to his performance. Number 12, Westbrook and Durant. Good Lord. How old is this writer? How old is he? Because I'm starting to worry how this top 10 is going to look like. Yes, the regular season matchups, they screamed at each other. They're in each other's faces. I understand. I get it. Shaq and Kobe better be here if they're in here, first of all. If you're going to put Westbrook and Durant, Shaq and Kobe better be here because never face each other in the playoffs. Again, you would think that will make a great rivalry, but number 12. Okay. I feel like we're putting too much weight for these modern day rivalries. I'm not buying this one, to be honest. Number 11, Shaquille O'Neal and Tim Duncan. Top 10 snub, but we'll see how the top 10 looks like. But yes, Shaq and Tim Duncan was a great rivalry. In the early 2000s, the Lakers were Shaq's team. The Spurs were Tim Duncan's team. That was a matchup. They actually defended each other. The Lakers, a lot of times when it was time to stop Tim Duncan, you put Shaq in there, and then many times was able to contain him. In 2002, he had a pretty rough shooting performance for the series. 2003, obviously Tim Duncan went back at him and really outperformed the Diesel to end the Shaq and Kobe dynasty. 1999, we saw what Duncan did to sweep the Lakers. No, this was an actual rivalry. So many great performances between these two players. When Tim Duncan needed to perform, which he usually did when he was facing the Lakers, he usually stepped up. So this is great. This is great. I love it. But better than Walt Frazier and Jerry West? Because they faced each other in the finals. I get it. 1970, 1972, and 1973. 3 times in the final. Okay. No, I get that. Jerry West was the best offensive player for the Lakers. If you want to see what was more valuable, okay, that's cool. Walt Frazier won the Finals MVP in 1970. A debate if that's more than the Shaq and Duncan rivalry. I was born for that era, so I probably would say that one. But no, this is a good placement. A win for 70s basketball. I like it. The LeBron and Kevin Durant, yeah, absolutely. Faced each other 3 times in the finals. In the 2010s, before the ascension of Curry, 2 best players in the league. Durant famously said, "I'm sick of being second," and referring to LeBron James because he was the best player in the world. No, this is definitely top 10 worthy. I am not gonna show any frustrations or disagree with this one. I think number 9 is probably good. I don't know if it's top 5, but for modern day rivalry, 2 of the best players of their era actually playing in meaningful games. Yes, absolutely. But see, I think it's better than the Garnett and Duncan rivalry. Usually when they face each other, it was in the first round. And Garnett, especially during the time with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Wasn't getting out of the first round. Then we go down number 7, Larry Bird and Isiah Thomas. Yes, Isiah Thomas is going to have a lot of appearances here. I wonder if if they have him and Magic Johnson, and of course him and Michael Jordan. That's probably going to be super high. No, yes, their matchups in the playoffs in the late 80s for sure. And then, as we mentioned, cool, Magic Johnson and Isiah Thomas, absolutely. And they actually face each other in the finals 2 years in a row. Of course, Magic got hurt for the 89 finals. And then they had a fallout, lasted for a long time until they famously made up on live TV and they cried in each other's arms, which was a heartfelt moment. I really liked that one. No, this is good. Maybe would have put in the top 5 just because of how long that rivalry lasted. That still piqued our interest afterwards, even long when they were retired. This deserves to be deep in this list. Absolutely. But I don't know. But yeah, LeBron and Curry is better. LeBron and Curry is better. After 2015, I mean, the finals matchups, and then they face each other in the playoffs in 2023. I'm surprised they're not higher. For I think the age of experience of this writer, I'm surprised it's not top 3. Oh my goodness, who's number 4? Shaq and Kobe? Really? Top 5? Borderline top 3? I mean, you know what? They're the only rivals from their own team. You know what? I get it. They were competing each other when they were playing with each other, with the Lakers, and then afterwards, I mean, their first Christmas Day matchup. I mean, Jesus, we were we were all there to see if Kobe was going to dunk on him and Shaq was going to throw him in the ground. All these petty back and forth interviews they had with their own selected reporters. They had fights. They had some ugly fights. Most notably, that 1999 practice session they had in the UCLA gym, I believe. Okay, obviously they never faced each other in the playoffs, but I think, okay, this is the exception. I can see why it's this high. True animosity, even when they were playing with each other. Okay, that makes sense. And then Michael Jordan and Isiah Thomas. Wonderful. Yes, this is top 3. I can see where they're going with this. Is that over Wilt and Russell, not over Larry and Magic? We'll see who's number 1. But a rivalry that still continues to this day. They still hate each other. They're still throwing shots at each other. 34 years after they last faced each other in the 1991 playoffs. Man, now this is honestly, this was a real rivalry. True animosity, true hate for each other. Yes, number 2, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, of course, and then number 1, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. They got that one right. Historically accurate, Wilt and Bill Russell kind of built the foundation for what makes the NBA so great. Rivalries. They actually face each other in the finals and the playoffs. That's what makes true rivalries in the NBA. And of course, Magic and Larry saved the NBA and made it what it is today. Absolutely. Who's the writer? Jeff, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. He looks like he could be my dad's age. Seriously, dude? I guess you know your demographic. Maybe it's people my age who just... He knows the analytics. Okay. Okay, fine. It makes sense. Whatever. Some of the snubs... Why isn't Bill Russell and Jerry West here? How is... Seriously? LeBron and Dwayne Wade over Bill Russell and Jerry West, or even Elgin Baylor? Are you serious, dude? How is that not in here? Kareem and Wilt. Jesus Christ. How do you not have them two over freaking Giannis and James Harden? Dr. J and Magic Johnson. Dr. J and Larry Bird. Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan. That should be in there. Charles Barkley and Karl Malone. LeBron and Duncan for would be a good one too. Or LeBron and Paul Pierce, true animosity, facing each other how many times in the playoffs? I understand why you wouldn't put Bill Russell and Bob Pettit, but they face each other 4 or 5 times in the finals. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact number. Sure, why put a rivalry from the 50s and 60s in there, but that was Bill Russell's first rivalry, maybe the first true rivalry of NBA history. A lot of misses. Dude, a lot of misses on this list. Kobe and Duncan, Kobe and Garnett, Kobe and Ray Allen. Miss. That's what I think. Do you think that Jeff did a good job with this list? Let me know in the comments. Till next time.